Joe, I've been receiving a couple of concerns from citizens about crossing safety on the Leachline Parkway. I know that we're making an effort right now throughout the town to urge our motorists to exercise good judgment and not to use excessive speed, particularly around our schools. With new middle school there, they were concerned. I know that we had planned to put up the amber crossing lights for the Oden Street crossing. I just wondered if you could give us an update as to where that is.
Yes, actually that equipment was shipped on Friday, so we're now waiting this week hopefully for it to come in. It's our top priority once it comes in to get it installed.
Very good, thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, move on to report of the mayor. Being none, proposal deletions, agenda items. Hearing none, moving on to consent agenda items. First one is council approval for the budget calendar year 2018-2019, paving parking lot for Energy Services Department, and a budget amendment to accept a grant, Game and Fisheries.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we remove the budget calendar for fiscal year 2018-2019 for discussion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to remove A from the consent agenda. Can I have a roll call, Ms. Berry?
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Here.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda items B and C. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on B and C? Hearing none, Ms. Berry?
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, going back to council approval, consent agenda, item A, budget calendar, fiscal 18-19. John?
Mr. Mayor, I move that council approve the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for allowing us to move this off the consent agenda. I just wanted to express my gratitude to town staff who've worked extremely hard and have brought forward an aggressive, updated timeline for our budget calendar. I really do think that this is going to help us a lot make next year an even easier and smoother budget process than we went through this past year. I know it's something that many of us on council have asked for over the course of the past 2 years, and it's really great to see that come next month, we're going to be beginning our process to work on next year's budget.
Anyone else? Hearing none, Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 8, public hearing. Receive comments, concerns, an ordinance for proposed vacation of right-of-way at 1521 North Earl Avenue. David Butler. Ms. Berry.
Council is requested to receive comments and concerns from the public and affirm on its first reading an ordinance to conditionally vacate a portion of 16th Street and 2 unapproved alleys addressed at 1521 North Rural Avenue to David and Jean Butler. The vacation includes 1, an unimproved portion of 16th Street extension along Belmont Avenue, and 2, an unimproved alley and right-of-way, and 3, an unimproved alley and right-of-way. The town staff and a viewing committee have reviewed this request, and adjacent property owners were notified of the original request. And we have 4 speakers signed up this evening.
Okay, I hereby open this public hearing. Ms. Berry, would you call us first?
Miss Linda Allen.
Linda Allen, 416 Salem Avenue, Front Royal, Virginia. I was associated with the former owner from 1992 when I moved here until her death in 2016. And I wanted to say that the pieces of property that you're talking about are not useful to you. They are, and it will be the second time that the town had deeded some piece of that alleyway to the Denny property. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and do it. so that they would have an intact piece of property to develop. And they're going to restore that home, and I believe it's going to be a beautiful situation up there that will do us proud. So I would like to say, let's make it easy for them to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Ms. Berry?
Mary Bright.
Good evening. My name is Mary Wright. I have a lifetime residence at 35 East 17th Street, Port Royal. I understand that the town council is considering the vacating of the property that adjoins the land that was recently purchased by Mr. Butler, and he'd like to develop it. I've lived at 35 East 17th Street since 2009, and the land that is being considered has been vacant and left untouched apparently before I ever moved to Front Royal. I see no reason at this time for the town to vacate the land since the town has never put any time or money into maintaining the property. I've never seen the town do anything to this land since I've been here. So with no cost to the town, there's no reason why the property couldn't be left the way that it is presently. Mr. Sloan, who owns my residence, inquired about the alley behind my house and was told that this land could never be sold, but he could keep the brush down, which he has done. So I'm confused as to why the land can be sold now. What is the difference as to when Mr. Sloan inquired about it, and now all of a sudden Mr. Butler inquires about it and the town's ready to let it go? If the land could be sold, why weren't the property owners that have connecting property been asked if they would like to purchase it first? Also, I'm deeply concerned that if the town relinquishes the land with the development, there's going to be erosion, not only on the property that is being developed, but the land I reside on as well. With removing the trees and brush from this land, my residence is on a downhill slope from this property and will get the runoff and sediment from it. I feel that I will be under undue cost to protect my residents from the effects of the development. I hope the town will consider my reservation an objection to relinquishing the proposed land. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Berry?
George Sloan.
Good evening. My name is George Sloan, and I'm the property that was referring to.
What's your address, Mr. Sloan?
I beg your pardon.
Or address?
My address?
Yes, sir.
I live in Winchester, Virginia, 550 North Kent, Winchester,
Thank
Virginia.
you.
But anyway, when I first acquired the land from my mother, I went downtown. I think the lady's name was either Jackson, that worked in there. It was a black lady that worked in the office, and I went in and asked her about buying the lot behind me because I didn't know it was a roadway. And I was told by her that the land could never be sold. I could use it and care for it, keep it up and everything, but it could never be sold. Now all of a sudden I look and the land is trying to be sold, and as Ms. Wright explained, I just wonder why all of a sudden now, when it could go to a lot of the property owners that have land right beside it, even if we find a way that we could purchase the land, I think it would be beneficial for all of us rather than to up and sell it to make a profit off of it in that manner. And that was my reason for coming down tonight, to come over here and find out why I couldn't purchase it, but it could be purchased by someone else or trying to be purchased by someone else. And I've been taking care of it ever since, I'd say, the last 15 years. And it's right in behind me.
Thank you, Mr. Sloan. Ms. Berry, the fourth.
David Butler.
Mr. Mayor and Council. In fact, this week has been a year since my wife and I first saw the property in 1521. decision to put an offer in for that property. Part of our process is, our thought process when we went through this was to renovate the Denny estate there and bring it up to standard and code. Now, my wife and I are both retired. The secondary thought that we had was, as we found out when we went through the survey, was that there was this common property, 16th Street, and the alleyways that's being advertised at night. So we were looking initially at the land that we would acquire 4 lots that we would be going through the town process to sublot and become quarter-acre lots to make available for construction of housing. Then we heard about the vacation process, talking to the town planner, and basically saw that there was an opportunity because this was basically land that's been there since 1890, surveyed those alleys. And Mr. Denny, the previous owner, himself and the next door, the old Kilheadland owners, had vacated half and half the front end of that alley on going from North Royal back to approximately 150 feet from Belmont. So my wife and I discussed this as far as helping us renovate and what are we going to do with all this land. If we vacated it, there was going to be approximately 5-some acres. And we felt, basically, because there's less land available in Front Royal, that we probably sublot that from the initial sublotting that Mr. Denny had done, according to old town, rules as far as how much frontage you could have for a house. And he basically extended housing lots along 16th Street, the unapproved part of 16th Street. Talking to Jeremy, he said that's not standard now for the town of Front Royal. So what we said, we felt what made the most sense was to turn those lots around onto Belmont. Based on the vacation of this property we're requesting, to make available 5 lots for construction of single-family homes. And that's basically what our proposal is. This is land that's been around since 1890. You know, the town has had alleys, and a lot of those alleyways that we have, if you look at the prints, are dead-ended because of previous actions that were done in earlier years. So basically what we're proposing is that we do sublot those 5 new lots on Belmont for construction, single-family home construction, and that would, from our perspective, be positive for the town in revenues, as well as positive for more people coming into Front Royal. So that's what we're proposing. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that's not signed up that would like to speak for or against? This meeting is now closed. Gentlemen, can I have a motion, please? Gentlemen, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move the council affirm on its first reading an ordinance to conditionally vacate a portion of 16th Street and 2 unimproved alleys addressed at 1521 North Coral Avenue to David and Jean Butler as presented. And I also would like to add to that, I further move that the ordinance on its second reading as to the state that the lots be created by the vacation of the right-of-way be substantially 5 quarter-acre lots, 75 feet in width and 150 feet long, along Belmont Avenue, meeting all town code requirements as stated in Mr. Butler's R10 statement by David E. Butler, dated November the 11th, 2016.
Point of information, Mr. Mayor, am I to understand from Mr. T. Wall's addition to the motion that he's making that a condition of the vacation of the right of way?
Yes.
Thank you. I second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion time, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've been here for many, many years, and I've seen the subdivision develop from its beginning to where it's at today when I was working for the town of Sun Royal. These are lots from the old River Improvement Company, which Mr. Butler alluded to earlier. This has been grown up for many, many years, and again, it needs to have some tender loving care as far as the property. But the reason I'm making this motion tonight and adding the additional to that, when we discuss this, we want to make sure that when we do vacate this and the property is being transferred over to Mr. and Ms. Butler, that they cannot then go in there and reconfigure these lots in a different manner than what they presented to us on the original intent. And so that's why I'm making sure that we put this in this so that these lots could not be made smaller or whatever in order to have more lots than the 5 lots that's now anticipated. So I want to make sure that if we do vacate these and the approval is denied, that these lots cannot be altered from the original survey that we have before us that we're looking at this evening in our packet, and that Mr. Butler understands that these lots cannot be altered to any other config after we approve this tonight at any point thereafter.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can I get a clarification on that from Doug? I want to make sure, I want to clarify whether or not we are allowed to have a conditional vacation of property.
Yes, actually, I wrote the wording for that for Mr. Tibor. I was asked at the work session to put that wording in there, and frankly, I just forgot it.
Mr. Mayor, I'm afraid I do have some questions that I don't really know if anyone has the answer for this evening. I want to put any staff sort of on the carpet if a response isn't prepared. I'm having trouble remembering if this came before us in the work session. I kind of think it did some time back. But again, we see so many different things come across the table, it is a little bit difficult for me to remember. And I know that staff did follow their process through. They looked at where the utilities are located, whether or not easements would still be in place. And I'm pleased to see that come through. I'm wondering, I guess, I'm wondering if someone could explain to the council what the process would be like for the reconfiguring of the lots, and how that process would go, since we seem to, according to this motion, are making this vacation contingent upon that process. If that process somehow changes moving forward, if this is going to come back before council, we'll have to go through the entire process over.
Joe, can you help us out, or Doug?
What I would suggest doing is have the ordinance recorded, and that way there's a title problem, and the lots can't be sold by the Butlers unless and until the lots are subdivided and platted in accordance with the ordinance.
And then I guess just a request if we could have town staff get up with Mr. Sloan, since there was some question about inquiry before. I'm not sure what there could have been at that time period that would have prevented the town from vacating a right of way. But I'm not familiar enough with however the process was before. I know that the town is limited by what the state code allows it to do in any given year. As the state code has changed, so do the powers of municipalities. But I would appreciate if someone could at least get up with him and see if we can find the answer to his question.
Mr. Conley, if you have reservations on this tonight, I can make another motion to postpone the voting on this until a later date, if that would satisfy you, if all your questions are answered.
I was going to speak for Mr. Conley, but I have a few questions. Mr. specifically around the contingencies that we're putting on it as we're vacating it. I mean, I think that, I think it's a wonderful idea. I think there's a lot of potential, but I just have a few questions I still like answered.
I want to thank Mr. T-Wall for the offer. Looking over the staff documentation of this process, because we have a fairly thorough process, and they've checked all the utilities and checked all the boxes. We've gone through the public hearing process and everything. I know that this is an ordinance amendment, and it will take a second reading as well to adopt. I am fine with voting and moving forward with this process based on the reports of the staff with the contingencies that Mr. T-Walt has put on it. I would still like to see this at a work session before the final vote. However, I know if other people have reservations as well, it might be prudent for us to pull this back to a work session before moving forward.
Well, I'm losing it here somewhere. Are we going to vote on the first reading tonight, or are we going to postpone?
Mr. Conley has proposed that we move forward with the first reading, having a second reading coming in the future. But before the second reading is prepared for council to vote, we will have a work session to answer questions on your amendments. Yeah. Satisfied? I would like to echo John's sentiment that staff could help Mr. Sloan to find out what happened. Maybe if there's any way possible, who you talked to, why they didn't have it in place with the vacation of the alleys back in the day. But this is only the first reading, and we will be back for a second reading in probably about 3 weeks. Having said that, can we have a motion? We already have a motion, I'm sorry, a second. And can we have a roll call, Ms. Berry?
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelow?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.
Thank you.
You done? All right. We have another public hearing to receive public input on the proposed establishment of a property maintenance code and rental inspection program within the town. This will not be voted on tonight. This is only for pure recommendation from the citizens. Ms. Berry, do we have anyone signed up that would like to speak?
We have two, the first being Linda Allen.
Okay.
Linda Allen, 416 Salem Avenue, Front Royal, Virginia. I've spoken to this issue every time you've had it, and I'm wondering when we're going to get some results, okay? But that's me. The proposed ordinance or code seems to me to be fairly simple. It's not restricted as the other one was in the past, and it shouldn't cause a great deal of disruption to realtors. But, you know, to some of the realtors who feel strongly against it, you have to wonder what the quality of their work is with the properties that they hold. And I want to speak to one in particular to tell you that this code is critical to the health and safety of the tenants that are there. These people are oftentimes very decent people who have jobs, but they're low-paying jobs, and they can be, and they are exploited in these properties, in these particular properties. And then you have a tenant, for example, who, when I come along and I find lead-based paint with chips, and I find pets and an infant is taken to this particular place, and I have the pictures for all this that I'm saying. And then you hire this illiterate tenant to paint over the lead-based paint, and then you try to tell me that, no, there was never any lead-based paint in this building. Because the building was so old, it would have to be lead-based paint. All right, that's just starters on this particular thing. So you manipulate these people to your advantage in order to get around the system or get around anyone who is working with some of the tenants, trying to make something better for them. All right? You have a broken step, and the landlord refuses to fix it. So you put your foot through it. That did happen. And there are other people in this is multi-tenant building that we're talking about. Refusal to fix it. Nail windows on the second floor. That's a violation of the fire code. You have to have an escape. Mold on the walls. Electrical outlets hanging. And rainwater coming in from the roof. because the roof is literally rotten and the person will not replace it? These are just examples of effects on health and safety of tenants. They are there because they cannot afford anything else, which speaks to our need for more affordable housing here, but we don't have it, but we could at least improve the situation in which these people live by having this property code, maintenance code passed. So I would urge you to seriously consider this, and if you want to see the pictures, I'll be glad to show them to you at some time and discuss, lots more details of these particular properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
The second is William Huck.
Good evening, Council. My name is William Huck, address 409 East Main Street, Front Royal, Virginia. I've been here a little over 2 years. We just recently acquired our building. But when I moved into the commercial spot that I had to be, or that I chose to open here in Warren County, the first 6 months I was there, I had to do over $30,000 worth of renovations to the inside to get it up to code to run my successful business. We have purchased this building in December of last year, and since then have put another $30,000 into the building to bring it back up to my standards. And I understand my standards are different from other people's living standards. I want a code in place and an ordinance in place that says that my tenants and my property have a right to come to me and say that something needs to be fixed. And if I do not fix it, then I suffer a consequence. I want that in place because I care about the community that I live in. I care about the community that I choose to do business in. And I believe more landlords need to have that care and that heart in what they have and show it to our community. We want to bring in new tenants and new houses. I'm all for new houses, but let's take care of what we have here now. We have people on welfare that can't afford to do anything else, and these are the ones that are living in these properties that Ms. Linda is talking about. They can't afford to go anywhere else, and since they can't seek the help that they need to move forward in their better health, these properties are going to continue to deteriorate. I have one sitting next to me that is deteriorating and falling apart. And without any ordinance and any code, it's going to continue to do so. Again, I care about what I do. So we've put a lot of effort and time into our business and to our building. And I've got years to go in doing this. So I look forward to working with you many times throughout the upcoming years. And I mean upcoming 50, 60, or 70 years down the line and staying. Yeah, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. Y'all got me? I'm here to stay. So I would like to see some type of ordinance, not only for my sake, but my tenant's sake and for those other citizens that live in our community that are afraid or do not know how to voice their opinion to the council in front of us. I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against that didn't have a chance to sign up?
I would.
Joan Harding, 218 Lee Street. I've spent almost 30 years in town and almost 10 years on the BAR. And frankly, anything that would help with keeping some of our buildings in shape. I also have been in some of the apartments that are upstairs on Main Street, and they are some of the sketchiest things I've ever seen in my life. Now some of these, nothing's been done. They were sort of cobbled together from offices and turned into residences, and they were done on the cheap. We've been that way for many, many years, and it's really pretty shocking. The condition that these people, and I'm sure the crisis that they are paying rent, but basically anything that helps us to encourage property owners to maintain their investments and our future would be greatly appreciated, because we're facing right now with the Afton Inn. It's basically been demolished by neglect, and that's not the only case that's in this town by any means. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Last call for anyone else. Hearing none, meeting is closed. Moving on to number 10, council approval ordinance amendments to code 46-1 public drunkenness. This is a second reading. Ms. Berry.
Council is requested to adopt on its second and final reading an ordinance amendment to Town Code 46-1 to expand the prohibited conduct to include a person with being intoxicated in public from other intoxicants, in addition to alcohol, with the violation constituting a Class 4 misdemeanor as defined in Town Code 115. If approved, the proposed amendment would allow for the charging and prosecution of those persons found intoxicated in public in the town from other intoxicants, in addition to alcohol, and consistent with state law as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council adopt on its second and final reading the ordinance amendment to Town Code Section 46-1 to expand the prohibited conduct to include a person being intoxicated in public from other intoxicants, in addition to alcohol, with a violation constituting a Class 4 misdemeanor as defined in Town Code Section 1-15 as presented.
Second. We have a motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is mainly housekeeping to bring the town code into alignment with the state code. And as we discussed during the first reading, it's not a terribly controversial thing. It simply allows the town to move forward with a unified approach to public intoxication as defined in the state code.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Sewell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Before we move on to 11, Joe, I forgot number 9. John, when are you going to be here to vote on the 28th?
I should be here on...
Joe, can you move that to the 28th September for a vote? For three proclamations. That'll give everybody plenty of time to finish discussing what they have to. Okay, number 11, request for Warren Heritage Society pertaining to utilities. Ms. Berry.
The Executive Director of the Warren Heritage Society has requested an in-kind donation from the town to offset utility expenses incurred by the society in the amount of $15,000 for services at 101 Chester Street for fiscal year 17 to 18.
Mr. Mayor, in accordance with the authority granted local governments by Virginia Code Section 15.2-953, I move the council make an in-kind donation of $15,000 from the fiscal year 2017-18 budget to be used toward payment of the utility bills. Beginning September 2017, the Warren Heritage Society Incorporated, a Virginia nonprofit organization in the town of Front Royal that is engaged in commemorating historical events located at 101 Chester Street.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is an arrangement that the town has had with the Warren Heritage Society in years past. I believe this is the third year that the Warren Heritage Society has made this request. It's not a donation of funds from the public coffers per se. It is simply allowing them a credit essentially on their utility bills. The Warren Heritage Society serves a vital role to record keeping, especially historical archives for both the town of Front Royal and the county of Warren. They provide access to researchers, public access to those archives year-round, and the town could not possibly provide that service for the cost of $15,000. So I have no problem with going ahead and voting for this evening.
Anyone else? Hearing none, Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Sewell?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, number 12, council approval of proposed charter amendment to be sent to the General Assembly representatives. Ms. Berry.
Council is requested to authorize the town attorney to send the attached proposed charter amendments to the General Assembly representatives by November 1st to ensure enough time to review the contents and take appropriate action to advance the town council's objectives.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council authorize town attorney to send the attached proposed charter amendments to the General Assembly representative by November the 1st, 2017, to ensure enough time to review and the contents and take the appropriate action to advance town council's objectives.
Second. All right, we have a motion, 2 seconds. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is something we've been trying to do for quite a few years, have very little success in getting any of our representatives to take it before the General Assembly or even to the committee to allow us to have a charter change. So I'm hoping this time that we do have one of our representatives that will take this before the General Assembly and allow for all to change our charter. There is one question I'd like to ask our town attorney, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay with you.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Town Attorney, have we already sent the information as far as dilapidated buildings to our delegate?
Yes, sir. We have.
Thank you. That's all.
Anyone else? Roll call, Ms. Berry.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelog?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor T-Wall.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, item number 13, council approval, resolution to extend the encroachment agreement at 311 Blue Ridge Avenue, Karen Marshall. Ms. Berry.
Council approved a resolution on September 10th, 2012 of an encroachment of a chain link fence onto Blue Ridge Avenue, right-of-way located on 311 Blue Ridge for property owner Ms. Marshall. The resolution was approved for a period not to exceed 5 years, which said authorization period may be extended by an additional 5-year periods by further resolution of council. Council is requested to approve the extension of the encroachment, but to revise the motion that the extension of the additional 5-year periods be executed by the town manager in the name of town council as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council approve resolution for an existing encroachment of a portion of Kimberly Dawn Wilson's property located at 821 Commerce Avenue for a period not to exceed 5 years, which period may be extended by additional 5 years period by further encroachment license executed by the town manager in the name of town council as presented.
Second. Again, we have a motion in 2 seconds. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I mean, bring us up to date on this. This house has been there for many years, and this encroachment's been there because of Commerce Avenue. At that time, had never been extended until it was constructed in 1966, 67. So it was found that this was an encroachment of the front porch and a few feet of the house on this particular street that extended was never utilized. So this is something that I think we need to reconsider this and allow the house to stay where it is, even though we're not using the property to begin with in this case.
Anyone else? Hearing none, Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelog?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor T-Wall.
Yes.
Thank you.
Being no more business coming before the town council, this meeting is adjourned.